Welcome back. Moving forward, super excited. Hopefully you've been following along. In this lesson, I'm going to talk about, very importantly, the role of the project manager. So, project manager has several roles, by the way, okay? The first and foremost is the managerial capacity, and the other one is a leadership role. So you're not just a manager trying to manage the project, getting all the tasks done, putting together the entire teams and so on, but you're actually providing a leadership role as well. So in this lesson, I'm going to cover in detail the types of leadership roles that you as a project manager could have after you evaluate yourself and see what kind of a project manager you are, and then adapt to that leadership role. Similarly, management role. Jump right in. Let's take a look at different types of managerial and leadership roles, as well as factors as well. Welcome back. Super excited. Moving on to chapter 3, which is all about role of project manager. We're also going to take a look at the skills that a project manager must have, the characteristics, and so forth. So this entire lesson, you'll be able to understand what the role is and what a project manager or an effective project manager, the qualities should the person have. So here's the overview. We know that the PM plays a critical role in both the leadership of the team itself as well as the management in order to achieve the project's objectives. So it's not just primarily the leadership, but also the management of the team itself. And the sole purpose is to achieve the desired objectives or have a successful project. So the role of the PM itself is distinct, really different from that of a functional manager or an operations manager. In a typical company or an organization, a manager simply manages a set of employees, makes sure that all the employees are following the company's guidelines, and so on. So all of the duties are being followed diligently and effectively. The project manager is a step up, I should say. In other words, you also have to have some type of leadership capacity as well, not just a simple, pure manager. So typically, in a standard organization, the functional manager, for example, focuses on providing management oversight for a department. The operation manager, similarly, is responsible for making sure that the operations of the company runs efficient, the workflows are efficient. The project manager is basically the person assigned by the organization to lead the team, and that's important because the PM is responsible for achieving the project objectives. So you're not really taking a role of the functional manager or the operations manager, but you're actually managing all sorts of things, yet having a leadership capacity. Here's the sphere of influence that a project manager basically has. So you'll notice in this diagram, the project manager is yet in a circular shape, but at the bottom. So not only the influence is coming from top to bottom, but also in a circular shape. So here, the PM has two sets of responsibilities. First, of course, to make sure, follow the chain of hierarchy, right? The stakeholders being on the very top, and so on. And then making sure that all of these are managed properly as well. So the influence can be done by stakeholders, suppliers, customers, end users, sponsors, government bodies. Again, these are internal and external influences that we talked about in the previous lessons as well. And then directly related to the project manager is the project team itself. The managers, the resource managers, the development team, the quality assurance teams, and so on. Here's the role, the important ones that I've just listed out. So the PM stays informed about current industry trends. And in my experience, it's absolutely important because when you're having conversations with clients or you're attending regular conference calls or meetings, you need to know exactly where the direction of the industry is heading, so you can have an intelligent conversation and also enhance your learning at the same time. So the project manager leads the project team to meet the project's objectives, as well as the senior management or stakeholders' expectations. The project manager works to balance the competing constraints on the project with the resources available. And this is the most challenging part. Of course, you'll have individuals working, and then sometimes they are on vacation and you need to fill in the gaps and so on. So it's an ongoing process that you have to kind of balance and make sure that you meet the desired objectives or meet the deadlines. The project manager performs communication roles between project sponsor, team members, and stakeholders. And this is by far the key element. So your communication among all individuals, whether they are stakeholders or down to your development team members, external clients, vendors, and so on, your communication skills must be very good, or you need to enhance your communication skills and become transparent. The project manager should use soft skills. And again, this relates to the communication roles as well, such as your interpersonal skills. How do you talk to your clients? How do you talk to your vendors? How do you talk to your customers or your stakeholders or your colleagues and so on? And the ability to manage people to balance the conflicting and competing goals. And let me give you a real-world example of this. Typically in a development environment, in a software project, for example, if you're managing those as a project manager, you are going to see the conflicts between the development teams and the quality assurance teams, right? So typically they kind of go check and balance, right? So they're always saying one thing to the other team and so on. So as a project manager, you need to ensure that you take all of your team members and create a team effort. Not only that, you should also be playing a team leader role in project stakeholders in order to achieve the common objectives. And research shows that successful project managers, they are consistent and effective in use of certain essential skills. And that's exactly the idea behind this course as well, that you want to be able to gain those skills. So I'm going to list out, of course, throughout this course, all of these key areas that a project manager should have if you do choose to become a project manager, or if you need to enhance your existing skill set. The Project Management Institute, right, the PMI, has created a triangle. It's called the Talent Triangle. So the Talent Triangle focuses on 3 skill sets. The technical project management is the first, leadership second, and strategic and business management third. So a project manager should have some technical knowledge, skills, and behavior related to specific domains of the project. Of course, if you are a SharePoint developer or just a beginner SharePoint developer, or you understand, for example, SharePoint technologies or any other technologies, it's easier for you to manage that particular project because you understand how things work from a technical perspective. Leadership is the second part of the triangle. The knowledge, skills, and behaviors needed to guide, motivate, and direct a team. Because again, you're not just a manager, you're now a leader as well. So you're actually motivating your teams, right? You're giving them some deadlines, and then you're giving them some motivations. And a good example that I do regularly in my projects is that I hold weekly meetings where we just have, let's say, a social gathering, right, of all my team members, and we talk nothing but just social and just kind of talk everything else but the project. So that way you can get to interact with almost all of the members of the organization instead of just, or your project team, instead of just talking to individuals individually. And third is the strategic and business management, where the knowledge and the expertise of the industry and organization that enhanced performance so that you can deliver better business outcomes. So again, this is sort of like a triangle. So as a project manager, you need to ensure that you're a technical project manager, you have the leadership capacity and skills, and then you understand the strategic and business management. I've listed some of the skills, the project manager skills. And again, these are all as per the PMBOK 6th guide. So this is kind of like you need to know, right? So the project manager should be technical, although it's not really required, but it's good to have, because I think every individual is technical in a certain way. So if you have a certain set of skills, then you want to make sure that you manage those kind of projects, right? If you need to manage different kind of projects, then you first obtain a little bit of skills and then you become technical in that respect. I always advocate a project manager to be a technical project manager, because that's a plus and a win-win, and not just a pure management perspective, but you actually understand technology or other areas as well. So the PM skills should be technical, strategic, and of course business management skills. You need to be good at dealing with people. So if you are good with people, you are an excellent project manager, because now you have the technical skills, because you can talk technical language, and yet you can deal effectively with people as well. You're a better communicator. You're always optimistic and positive and collaborative. So there are lots of challenges. There may be things that you don't like. Sometimes that happens. A meeting can go a different direction. So you need to be optimistic and make sure you remain positive. Managing relationships and conflict. So conflict management is a key area of project manager. So instead of bursting out in flames, right? Or getting angry and so on. So you need to effectively manage the situation and be able to handle the conflict and provide effective resolutions through effective communication. Of course, you need to be respectful. You need to exhibit integrity, trustworthiness, and being culturally sensitive, because you may have teams from all across the world. And it happens to me all the time. I have teams in India, Philippines, Europe, that you deal with all sorts of people with backgrounds. And an important skill that a project manager should have, a must-have, should be a problem solver. So you need to be able to foresee a problem or an upcoming problem. And that you, of course, learn through experience, by something that I just want to throw out there to you so you kind of understand what this means. And then also decisive. So you need to make decisions. You can't just say, all right, I'll decide next week. No, sometimes you have a situation where you need to decide on the spot. So you need to be an effective decision maker as well. More importantly, a project manager, a skill, is a lifelong learner. So even today, I learn new technologies. I'm into the technology world. I'm a technologist myself and a project manager. So you need to be able to kind of keep yourself up to date, and also action-oriented, being able to apply critical thinking and build effective teams. In other words, you need to have a likable personality, right? So your team members can bank upon you. They can trust you. Here's a good chart, the difference between team management and team leadership compared. So on the left half, you'll see the management, and the right is the leadership. So the project managers need to employ both, again, the leadership and management, in order to be successful. And you'll notice the subtle difference between what management is and what leadership is. So again, let me assign you a good homework here at this point. So this is your homework. You need to take a look at each of these management areas listed. For example, direct using positional power is what management is. And under leadership, you guide, you influence, you collaborate using relational power. So as a homework, just go through the list, post your questions in the discussion area. I'll be happy to engage other students and myself, and then kind of we can discuss each one of these if you have any questions on these. Leadership styles. Of course, a PM should be both a good manager and a leader as well. But leadership has different styles, and this is pure management 101 per se. So the laissez-faire, for example, is allowing the team to make their own decisions. So you could be a project manager that provides empowerment to your own teams. So the development team leader, for example, would have full authority on the rest of the team members who are actually developing certain software within your project. Similarly, QA works the same way. And the BA team, the business analyst team, works their own ways, and so on. So you could be that kind of a leader, or you could be a transactional leader, a servant leader, transformational type leader, charismatic leader, or interactional. And each of these leadership styles, you kind of analyze yourself and you understand, well, hey, I kind of fit within the capacity of a transformational leader. I empower followers through idealized attributes and behaviors, inspirational motivation, encouragement for innovation and creativity, and individual consideration. So that's kind of a person I am, right? So take a look at each one of these. This is your homework number 2. Understand what kind of leader you are. And then, of course, post in the discussion area. We'll have a good discussion regarding these styles. Personality characteristics are also important for a project manager. You need to be authentic. That means accept others for what and who they are. So do not judge individuals. Courteous, creative, cultural, emotional. Again, these are all personality characteristics. Intellectual, managerial, political, service-oriented, social, and systematic. So take a look at yourself and see what kind of personality characteristics do you have in one of these. What are you good at? What are some of these challenges that you face personally yourself? And then just kind of overcome those challenges so that you can become an effective project manager. So finally, the recap. In this lesson, I simply stated the leadership styles, the personality characteristics of a good project manager, what makes a good project manager, what role does a project manager play, the sphere of influence, right, within the organization, externally versus internally, the effective communicator that you should have, you should be positive, and so on. So I hope this helps. Practice and do this homework that I've assigned to you in this lesson. And with this, let's move to the next lesson.